What we will try to do, I think we will have the three panelists from the three companies. Although I think we just had to replace one speaker, so we will have Jinko being represented by Willie instead of Danny. She unfortunately couldn't make it, which is a shame also, because that would have been the only woman on our panel. Would have liked to have that, but we're also very happy to have Willie with us. Then we have with us Ben Wong, who is the Director of International Marketing at LONGi. So very happy to have Ben with us. Welcome, Ben.
Good afternoon, Michael. Good afternoon.
Good evening. And then we have with us, obviously, Shravan, and from Astronergy, we have Zhou, who's the Product Management and Sale Support Director.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, Michael.
Hi, Jack.
Yeah.
Good. So what I would like to do in this panel is I really would like to discuss a little bit the variety that we're having here. So to better bring also somewhat of an understanding if in this gigantic and even getting bigger portfolio of modules that are there in the market. So, okay, I don't want to discuss too much. Is 210 the better, or it's 182? It's rather about how can we differentiate products for residential C&I utility segments. I think Shravan already had this problem when he was doing his market survey. He was also, when he was checking the websites, he was seeing, okay, there's small modules for still smaller modules for the residential part. There's bigger modules for the utility scale market, something in between with an overlap for C&I, but there's also modules actually that are being advertised for both, or for everything, although it might be probably not in the customer's best interest to have maybe whatever, a 60 cell or a 60 cell equivalent module for 500 megawatt power plant. And I think I would really like to discuss around this. So how to differentiate the products for residential C&I utility segments. So let's maybe talk about that first, so that everyone kind of gives a little bit his view on the different market segments and your product strategy once again. So how are you looking at the different market segments and how are you addressing that? Maybe Ben first.
Okay. Let me just start by saying that LONGi doesn't define a market segment. The market defines its own segment. Okay? And LONGi uses insights from the market to develop products based on this market segments. Clearly, we see that we have segments in residential, we have segments right at the moment in commercial industry, and of course the large scale solar. And each one has its very own unique requirements. The residential, for example, go for a very extreme example, is much more concerned about aesthetics. They will go, black panel is in consideration. You don't see black panel in consideration for utility scale, for example. So therefore, my point is that every segment defines its own requirements, and LONGi uses insights to define the best product for each segment. And we have a very distinct product portfolio, HIMO 4, which is designed more for residential and commercial industrial applications, and HIMO 5, which is a large format 182 mm modules, which is designed for large scale solar and large power plants.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. For Astronergy, I think just as our presenter Baohua has said, Astron 5 is our latest module, and Astron 5 can be divided into two main types, Astron Semi and Astron Chint. Astron Semi is our monofacial module, and Astron Chint is our bifacial module with dual glass packaging. So I think for the utility scale projects, our Astron 5 Semi will and as for Astron 5 Chint for 72 design will be applicable for the utility scale. And for the residential roofs, I think the module should be light, and especially for some areas like the developer countries, the labor powers cost is much higher, and the appearance should be aligned with the building's appearance. So we suggest 60 solar cell design be the choice. I think for the residential roofs, covering the roof completely is an important factor, maybe the first priority. That needed to be considered when design and selecting the module. And for the utility scale, I think the customer value is mainly reflected in the control of LCOE. So different module selections will affect the cost of the system on one hand, and the other hand is the power generation. So actually nowadays, mainstream modules with different power level are all based on PERC monocrystalline cell technology. So there's little difference in power generation per watt. So I think we can use different kind of size wafer with different module package and design to try to design a module which can reduce the system cost and LCOE.
Okay, thanks, Jack. Willie?
Hello, hi. So for this question, firstly, we see there is a lot of strongly expanding for the module capacity, no matter for us, for LONGi or for Astron. And in general, Jinko, we're focusing on the customer demand. So for the utility project, we know customer only care about LCOE. So all of the new technologies and all of target is wants to decrease the LCOE to bring more benefits to customer. But for the DG market, there are a lot of things we can do. Like we can change the appearance, we can use a suitable size, and we can use different module technology, like the tiling ribbon, or like other companies use shingling, others to meet customers' demand. Because some customer wants it has a black appearance, some customer wants it's a small, some customer wants it has higher efficiency. So in this year 2021, JinkoSolar may be focusing on more about the DG market compared with the 2020, and in addition, we will also focusing on the utility project with our Tiger Pro module and to help the customer to decrease their LCOE to bring more benefits to them.
Okay. So I think so maybe also quickly to Jack and Ben. So what will be your focus actually this year also? So I think market will, I think is expected to grow considerably, although it was already pretty good last year, surprisingly good despite the pandemic. What will be your focus? I think where do you expect most growth actually, and what kind of products are you seeing, or what demand for what kind of products in those regions? Maybe Ben first. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes,
please.
Got it. Okay, well, as LONGi is one of the leading module manufacturing companies here in the world, we have a wide spectrum. We need to cover the entire spectrum of the market requirements. Certainly the three requirements for residential, C&I, as well as utility scale. And then within this, certainly you will start looking at more niche items. For example, the floating solar segment, which is also is still small at the moment, but growing fairly rapidly. So based on this, like we have just discussed also, our industry friends from JinkoSolar, is that we come back to the point that each module type is designed for a specific function. HIMO 5 or bifacial is actually designed for large-scale solar and best used with trackers. Okay, on the residential product, we would have a smaller module size, where aesthetics and certainly plays a more important part, black frame, black backsheet, and sometimes takes priority even over power, as you may know. But this again is different from C&I, where it's on the top flat roof, and you can do with 72 cells modules that generates high power and high reliability. So underlying the entire items here are two things. One is technology innovation. This is a technology industry. It's growing. You can see how fast the industry has grown from the large format industry, and investment has to keep up. And within the technology itself, reliability as well as high value, as expressed by efficiency, are key drivers.
Okay.
I leave it as that at the moment. We are going to the key product range.
Okay, thanks. Jack?
Yeah, I think for Astronergy, most of the sales are focused on the utility scales. But for the utility scales, I think our market is all over the world, especially in Europe, Japan, Australia, and America. These utility scales include many bigger projects. But for the residential, even though it's a small part, but in China, actually, you know, we have a company called Ainan, and this company's share in China is very big, almost 30% of the whole China's residential market. So it's rank 1. So I think in this year, maybe the residential share will be much bigger.
Okay, thanks. Shravan, maybe you, so when you did your analysis, your report, so what kind of, what did you see in terms of strategies when you looked at all these different companies regarding the segments? Did you see some things that were similar, or did everyone sort of, was it, I don't know, was it really different for everyone?
Yeah, I mean, so this is really, I try to explain also in the presentation. So, when we initially sent the data, and of course, some companies have a absolute clarity about how each product has to be promoted. But I think at some few companies also would like to have more, spectrum of coverage. So they're pushing for, more than one specific application. So for example, utility and C&I, of course, utility and C&I can be combined, and then of course, residential and C&I is still okay. But, there are also few products that said utility, C&I, and residential. And these were not really, anywhere in between. So the products are not really made with a configuration, something like, in between. So they're at some extremes, but they're promoted for the other. So of course, I mean, I also talked to some companies. So for example, I talked to one company in India, and then they said, okay, so this is what happens in India. You have one product for all. So even multicrystalline is mainly promoted even for rooftops. So this might be true for someone, but also some companies would like to have more kind of a labels on their products. So that's what I also see. But if you go to the segments in utility, there are also high efficiency products, unlike in past, and configurations are also, are really going towards larger modules, utility and C&I applications. And for the residential, I think it's really fitting to its definition. So high efficiency, better aesthetics. I mean, aesthetics got more preference than performance, just like Benji said. So there are some products like even losing 25 watt over 400 watts for having a pleasing aesthetics is still promoted there. But of course, with the technologies, these limitations are also being addressed. But C&I is kind of a really confusing. So you see everything from everything. So the basic multicrystalline to very high efficiency and very large, everything is covered here. So.
Okay, so I think we got an interesting comment also in the chat where somebody also said that PV modules are getting more complex and complex. And so is there any thinking to simplify in terms of segmentation with respect to applications? I would like to directly give that to the companies. And so what would you, or what will you answer to this comment? So how do you think maybe the sector is doing at the moment, and what can we do, the sector maybe in general do better, and what's your personal view as a company to address that?
Maybe pass it to Willie first. Maybe Willie first this time. Yeah, I'd like to hear his view.
Willie, okay. So Willie, you want to start?
Sorry, could you please repeat your questions?
Yeah, so I think so. So what's your strategy actually? I think so. There's this comment of that the impression is that the market for solar modules is getting more complex and complex. So you get more and more modules, you get more and more features to differentiate. So how can manufacturers improve that or simplify that actually, that customers easily understand the product segmentation?
Okay.
What's your strategy at Jinko actually to clearly say, okay, this is for this application, C&I, these are our products, so to help the customer?
Okay, got it. So firstly, we need to, from the manufacturing side, we can divide our product into different product types. Like we use the bigger modules for the utility scale, and we use the small modules, maybe almost all the small modules for the residential or for the C&I scale. In another part, we want to meet customers' demand, because different customer has different demand. If the customer, they want a utility project, they must find a higher power output module, which could decrease the BOS, decrease the EPC cost, and decrease the LCOE. But for some residential market customer, they want a higher efficiency module. They want a module with better appearance. So we will, according to their demand, and promote different products to them. And for our product, we will generate different features for our product, like our small module with tiling ribbon with 163. It's a very good product in residential market, because the tiling ribbon can increase the module efficiency. But for the utility project, we do not recommend tiling ribbon to customer, because for the half cell module, the cell gap is a little bit larger than normal technology, so there is more energy generation, and which will decrease the LCOE significantly. So our product promotion plan is according to the customer's demand, and we will investigate different markets to set different strategies for the product.
Okay. Jack, maybe you?
Yeah, I think my view for the different products for customers' choice is similar as Willie said. First, our module designs purpose is to face customers' requests. So when we design the module, we needed to take everything into account, especially for the utility scale projects. We will, before we do the design, we will calculate LCOE and evaluate the process difficulties and process. So for the customer, when they choose the module, especially for the utility scale module, we will suggest our Astron 5 module with the 72 cell design, especially for the bifacial module, because it can bring additional power around 5 to 25%. And for the residential module, residential roofs, we will, based on the customer's request, maybe as appearance they are needed align with the building's appearance, so we will suggest the black module. And for some sites, for some areas, if it's close to the beach, close to seaside, we will suggest our customer to choose our double glass module, because the double glass module we have much better reliability, because the water vapor transparency rate is much lower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ben, thanks.
Hi. Yeah, let me start by coming back to the point that LONGi has a very focused product range. The HIMO 5, which is based on the M10 182mm modules, is designed specifically for ultra large scale modules, projects applications. Within these products, the hero product is only the 72 cells bifacial product. And that's the one that delivers, has the strongest interest and orders at the moment. The product range also includes the 66 cell for a short, smaller width, and also later part of this year, the monofacial applications, instead of extending the bifacial range. But all the HIMO 5 is designed for ultra large scale applications. Within the residential and commercial utility, as well as some large-scale solar applications, slightly smaller ones, is a HIMO 4 series, which is predominantly 60 cells. The 60 cell product also available in both mono and bifacial. The bifacial is always on glass, so that takes away the choice of between a glass backsheet as well as a transparent backsheet. Okay, and of course we had a discussion on that on the advantages and disadvantages that I won't go into that in that detail. Okay, LONGi has decided that the glass backsheet, though heavier, that weight itself is negligible compared to the other costs of a large scale solar installation that uses bifacial. So within the HIMO 4, they would have products specifically targeted at residential, whether they choose for aesthetic reasons, for example, all black, or to optimize power with a white backsheet. And then within the C&I segment, you have the 72 cells format, which is in all black. You don't need bifacial when you put it on a flat rooftop, for example. And then you have a bifacial format for the 60 cell and 72 cells in HIMO 4 using the M6 standard size modules, cells, for some power plants, large power plants, but it doesn't require the large format sizes of the HIMO 5. So only two ranges, HIMO 4 and HIMO 5, they coexist with one another in our product portfolio as we go through 2021.
Okay, that sounds simple. I understand that easily.
Thank you.
So what? So when we talk about the different segments, also, so there's also probably the question of size. I think both of you, Jack, Ben, you also said that it's rather the M6 format for the residential modules. But how will be the sizes of modules? Because I think installers probably would love to have it, especially when you talk about residential, as not as small as possible, but rather as handy as possible. And up over a certain size, it's not handy anymore. So what do you? How will be the format of residential modules in the near future, currently, in how you envision them?
From the regions, the data is coming back from the regions is that in residential, the 60 cells is preferred. For example, in Europe, where manpower, and also Australia, where manpower labor is expensive, you cannot have 2 persons carrying a module up the roof at one time. It's also dangerous if 2 people carrying a module up the roof at one time. So 60 cells is always still the preferred item in a residential application. In C&I, we're seeing more and more 72 cells because you have cranes that brings the roof, the modules right up to the roof already. So you don't need to have someone physically carrying up to the rooftop of a industrial building. And certainly when you look at industry scale, then the large size module comes into play when power needs to be maximized, and sometimes land space is plenty.
Okay. Jack, maybe, or Willie?
Yeah. Okay, from my point, for the residential roofs, I think we can divide the residential roofs into 2 types. The flat one means the flat roof and the pitched roof. You know, in China, almost in north of China, most of the roof are flat roof. So what they pay attention is not maybe the appearance, because we can't see the module's appearance. So what they pay attention is the LCOE actually. So for this part of area, we still suggest that they use 72 M6 modules. Maybe also our Astron 5 72 182 solar cell designs, because LCOE is their first priority. But for some developed countries, like in Germany or Australia, I think to cover the whole roof area is the first point, because the roof is a pitched roof. It's not flat, right? So the appearance is also a good, the appearance and the covering the whole roof area is the first priority. So we will suggest them to use the small size of the module. So based on this criteria, we will design the module based on the wafer size, and make sure that the final module size can face the residential roofs requirements. But for C&I think because the area is much bigger compared with residential roof, so the brackets, cables, connectors, essential used in distributed projects are all related with the number of the module. So we need to take the LCOE and the flexibility into account at the same time, right? So for the C&I think we need to take these 2 aspects into account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Willie?
Okay. So for the size of the module, especially in the residential market or the C&I market, from my opinion. Firstly, the module size is related to the two parts. One is the cell size, the other thing is the cell number. So if we focus on the size itself, on the module size itself only, the issue is if the installation is very easy, or if the module size will fit for the rooftop size. But if we're focusing on the cell size or the cell number, the voltage and the current is significant. Because for the utility scale, we know a lot of inverters, they have changed to a higher current solution and they already have it. But for
this, who wants to take that?
Might be more relevant to a product manager to take that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I can answer this. So
Yeah.
the question is that if we can cut it into two pieces, why we cannot cut it into three pieces, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. According to our R&D, we see some data. So no matter when you cut it into two or into three, the advanced technology will reduce the power loss, but the power loss still exists.
Okay.
Yes.
And so is there going to be any voltage related issues? Because if you want to cut them, so that means you have to connect them in series, so the configuration changes, and then will there be any problem towards the balance of systems for the household inverters? Will there be any issue if someone does that, or it can be manageable?
So you mean if we cut it into three, is there any
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, because you know the wafer itself is not a square. There is some small gap. So if we cut it into three, maybe when they do some module manufacturing, there is some power loss because each of the small pieces is not keeps the same. But if we cut it into two pieces, I think there is no power loss because both of them keeps the same, and the cell area is the same. And for the inverters, because if we cut it big wafers into three pieces, the current will decrease a lot. So I think from my point of view, according to a lot of inverters is suitable for this. Yeah, but for the power loss, it still exists.
Okay, interesting. Let's talk a little bit about quality. Also, I think we've also seen, actually, I think you all had also some different strategies regarding gaps, for example, also tiling and so on. But with all these new technologies, we're seeing that also if you cut things, of course, you can have smoother laser cutting methods and everything is improving. But are you seeing that with all these things happening in such a short period of time that quality control can handle that? Because I think there's so much happening these days. So I remember we had I don't know, recently a presentation. I think DuPont was mentioned that, and they said, "Oh, we have the feeling actually there's so much, and from a quality point of view, it's maybe too much in such a short time frame." Because it was amazing what the R&D departments at the solar manufacturers and research institutes achieved in the last 2 years, right?
That's true. That's true. There's been a lot of rapid changes. Not too long ago, we were talking about 300 hot power, and then with 400, 500, and now we are operating 600 watts module already. But having said that, I believe all the leading companies in manufacturing itself uses advanced production technology, and this is not something that you develop overnight. It's something that you build layers upon layers of learning. So we have taken the learning over 20 years, okay, and added more advanced technology, latest equipment, and at the same time, we adopt all the advanced certification standards the new ISO standards, and all verified by third parties, okay, to ensure the reliability and the quality of the production. At this point in time, I understand LONGi manufacturing yield is above 99.5%, okay, which is high in the industry. And in terms of product reliability itself, all the third-party testings, RET-CD and VTL, TUV, for example, has certified the product reliability as well as performance. Finally, as a customer assurance, LONGi has a 3-tier service system that goes from headquarters to region to local country distribution, as well as our customers, to address and resolve any issue, okay, that comes out very quickly and efficiently. So we start from high quality control that produces reliable modules, and at the same time we create a level of service that resolves quick issues quickly and efficiently.
Okay, thanks. I think that's good. Anyone else wants to comment?
Okay. So for the quality issue, at this stage, both of us know that almost all of the production line is changing to automatic production line. So compared with the previous production line, we can control the quality well. And like the Jinko, we will update our quality control systems year by year. For now, like we will control the manufacturing quality, control the supplier quality, because we always purchase some raw material from our supplier. In addition, we will control our mass production. We will do some testing for our mass production. Final, we will control the customers' quality feedback system. We will gather a lot of feedback from customer and do some updates. And in addition, like the Benjamin says, there is a lot of testing till now. We have a lot of third parties. We will do PQP, we will do IEC testing, we will do RETC testing. So like 2 times IEC or 3 times IEC, all of this strictly testing will show that the new technology can pass all the testing, and the new technology can ensure the modules safely using 25 to 30 years.
Okay. So maybe I think, so let's maybe briefly also talk a little bit, coming closer to an end, so about an outlook. So we've seen now actually so much happening. So what can we expect next? So I think Shravan already mentioned, so that, and we saw that also yesterday when Ryzen talked. So they came up with this, okay, we want to go and by 2022 already to 700 watt. And here, but they clearly said we want to keep basically the size. So we don't want to simply confuse or anyone in the market with the new sizes. We keep the wafer size, we keep the module size. So they want to go to the next technology. Is this what we will cell technology? Is this what the industry will be working on in the near future? Now that so much on the module has been done, or can we expect I don't know, in the near future also further advancements on module design, system design from your perspective? What you are seeing? Willie?
Okay, I can talk first. So for the next generation's technology, like you said, we do not want to see a lot of size changes, physical changes for the modules. We use the 72 cells, they use the 78 cells, we use the 182, and the others use the 210. I think this is not a good trend for our PV industry. From Jinko side, we are focusing on the cell technology now, and we want to increase the efficiency, increase the power output when we does not change our cell size, does not change our module size. I think this is very benefit to customer. But if we always increase module size, I think like the mechanical loading, it will decrease apparently. And for other things, maybe we could not see any LCOE benefits from the 700 watts modules compared with the 500 watts module, because this is only the physical changes. I think it doesn't make sense for this part.
Okay, thanks. Jack, maybe?
Yeah, from my understanding, I think we hope that the module size can be standardized, because from customers' request, especially for the project owner, they really hope the size of module be standardized. So in future, our Astron 6 will use 210 and based on 72 design, and some module technologies like a multi-bus bar and half cut will also be used in the module. So we hope our Astron 6 module will be the mainstream and be aligned with the whole market, and all of the customer can use the standardized module. From cell technologies, we think N-type solar technologies like TOPCon and HJT will be the new generation of the solar technology. Maybe currently the TOPCon is much easier to upgrade from the PERC production line, but we can't to say that the TOPCon is the mainstream, because maybe the HDD's cost will be reduced in future rapidly based on the equipment development and material cost reducement. So that's my point.
Okay, thanks, Jack. And maybe final words?
No, actually, I think Willie and Jack, we are all aligned on this, that there are two ways to increase power. One, you might make the module bigger, the size, the light capture area bigger, or you make the cell more efficient. Okay, and bigger, like I always say, bigger is not always better. You reach a certain limit, and that doesn't make sense anymore. So I also agree that the next cell technology would be a development of already cell technology that's already mature or maturing, like TOPCon and type HJT, for example. Okay, and as this comes down in price and it becomes more feasible and hits the LCOE target for large scale solar applications, CNI applications, then the volume will start picking up very quickly. Okay, you saw that switch from multi to mono happen over 2 years. Okay, yeah. Something similar could happen as soon once the price curve comes down. Then you have some emerging new technologies that I believe will take more time to mature before the price curve comes down to make it more feasible, and more testing needs to be done to check the reliability. Okay, of course they will deliver very nice efficiencies at the moment from a lab point of view, but when you start producing in gigawatts level, there's a different story.
Sure. I think, but maybe, as you said, it might come sooner than we think, because with modules we're coming actually not only to an end, but I think there's probably always things you can improve, but at some points people would like to, as everyone agreed on, customers like to stick with something they know for a while. And maybe it's the time of the cell now. And I think, Ben, you probably I think you made a good point that it can go quickly. We probably need one who really goes and puts its big weight behind it, and then the others will probably quickly follow whatever that is, if it is HJT Top Gun. Yeah, I think it won't get boring in the next month or years. So I think we are probably in the right industry, and that leaves me saying thank you to everyone for staying with us, to contributing, supporting and sharing all this knowledge and information. Just a few things. Once again, thanks to all the sponsors who supported us. Now is the time for downloading our report. It's online, so if you go to our website, you can get access to our report. We hope you will enjoy what we've prepared at primarily Shravan and the team at TaiyangNews. Again, we're expanding, so if anyone is interested to work with us as a market technology analyst, please get in touch with HR at Taiyang. And that leaves me basically, once again, thanks to all the sponsors. Without you, we couldn't do that event for free and access so many people. Thanks for joining. See you at our next event. That will be already, this is already set. We will do it on February 25th. Next topic will be bifacial solar. So if you have contributions, if you're interested, please get in touch with us. We're obviously also happy if somebody wants to sponsor that event. We will really stretch from the cell side to the system side, and we'll be happy to involve as many companies from all these different segments as possible. Thanks again for staying with us. Have a nice evening, have a good night, and see you hopefully soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us, Michael. Bye-bye. Really?
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Willie.
Bye-bye. Really? Bye-bye, Jack.
Bye.
Shabran. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.